You were taught to worship independence, to stand alone, to believe self-sufficiency is strength. That belief is not noble, it is lethal. Independence is a myth sold to men who are meant to remain unprotected, unbacked, and easily erased. Power does not respect isolation. It hunts it. Every hierarchy, corporate, political, criminal, social, operates on the same law. Alignment determines survival. Those who orbit power live longer, move faster, and bleed less. Those who stand apart become examples, not martyrs. Warnings: you mistake alignment for submission, because you were trained to see morality where only mechanics exist. Power is not emotional. It is gravitational. Stand too far from it, and you freeze. Get too close without strategy, and you're crushed. The question is not whether to align, but how. Neutrality is the most dangerous position in any system. Neutral men believe they are invisible. In reality, they are exposed. They receive no protection, no information, no early warnings. When purges happen, and they always do, neutral men are removed first because no one claims them. No one loses anything by sacrificing you. Dominant figures do not fear rebellion. They expect it. What they despise is unpredictability. An unaffiliated man is unpredictable. He has no leash, no signal, no clear use. That makes him a liability. Liabilities are eliminated or ignored until they starve. Alignment is not loyalty. Loyalty is emotional. Alignment is positional. Loyalty begs for approval. Alignment trades value for shelter. The former weakens you. The latter buys time. Time is the only real currency beneath power. You must understand this early. Dominant figures do not lead. They select. They do not gather equals. They assemble instruments. When you approach power thinking in terms of fairness, respect, or shared values, you mark yourself as naive. Power does not reward belief. It rewards utility. This chapter's purpose is to surgically remove your sentimental lens. You are not choosing who to admire. You are choosing where to stand when pressure arrives. And pressure always arrives: economic collapse, organizational restructuring, betrayal, war, scandal. When it does, power closes ranks. Those aligned are pulled inward. The rest are pushed out or down. Look at nature. Predators move in dominance hierarchies. The lone animal is not free, it is vulnerable. It must watch every direction, every second. Meanwhile, those within the pack sleep while others guard. That is alignment. Not friendship. Not affection. Division of risk. You were told, be your own man. What they meant was face the system alone. That advice benefits those already insulated by power. They can afford independence. You cannot. Not yet. Reframing alignment means abandoning the fantasy that you rise by merit alone. Merit is only visible when power allows it to be seen. Until then, your skill is irrelevant. Your ethics are invisible. Your hard work is unpaid noise. This is the first cut. Accept that alignment is not weakness, it is positioning. Submission is surrendering agency. Alignment is choosing where to deploy it. One dissolves you. The other preserves you until you can maneuver. Men who refuse this lens shift remain morally clean and strategically dead. Men who accept it gain access to the board where outcomes are decided. This chapter does not ask you to like power. It demands you recognize it, because power does not need your belief. It only notices your placement. Dominant figures do not think like you. That is the first mistake you keep making. You assume similarity of mind, motive, and morality. Power exploits that assumption relentlessly. A dominant figure does not wake up asking who deserves loyalty. He asks who is useful, who is stable, and who is replaceable. Everything else, kindness, cruelty, generosity, is situational camouflage. What you interpret as personality is often just strategy expressed through temperament. Dominance operates on three invisible mechanics: selection, insulation, and extraction. Selection is ruthless and constant. Powerful individuals are always scanning quietly for signals. Not resumes. Not words. Signals. Who anticipates needs without being told. Who moves without emotional leakage. Who absorbs pressure without broadcasting it. Men who require reassurance disqualify themselves instantly. Neediness reads as instability. Instability threatens the structure. Insulation is the real prize of alignment. Power surrounds itself with buffers, people, narratives, institutions, so consequences never land directly. When mistakes happen, someone else absorbs the impact. When blame circulates, it never reaches the core. Dominant figures survive not because they are flawless, but because they are shielded. Alignment determines whether you are insulation or exposed surface. Then comes extraction. Power does not exploit randomly. It extracts along gradients of dependency. The more emotionally attached you are, the more you will give for less. The more morally invested you are, the easier you are to drain. Dominant figures prefer allies who believe in something abstract: mission, loyalty, brotherhood, because abstractions cannot demand repayment. This is where most men fail. They approach dominance offering sincerity. Sincerity has no leverage. It only increases extraction efficiency. Understand this clearly. Dominant figures do not reward effort. They reward predictable output. They do not want brilliance that fluctuates. They want reliability under stress. A mediocre man who performs on command is more valuable than a gifted man who hesitates. You may think proximity to power requires admiration. It does not. Admiration clouds judgment. The dominant figure is not seeking worship. He already has symbols for that. What he seeks is alignment without illusion. Men who see him clearly and still choose position over pride. Another hidden mechanic. Power never explains itself. Explanation is for equals. Instruction is for subordinates. Silence is for assets. The more a dominant figure explains himself to you, the less he respects your position. Men who demand clarity signal entitlement. Entitlement invites correction. Power also tests indirectly. You will not be asked, "Are you loyal?" You will be placed in ambiguous situations where loyalty conflicts with comfort, safety, or social approval. Your reaction is noted. Not immediately. Logged. Patterns matter more than moments. Crucially, dominance is allergic to moral negotiation. If you attempt to bargain ethically, this isn't fair. This goes too far, you reframe yourself as a problem to manage. Power does not argue with friction. It reroutes around it. This chapter's psychological function is to strip away your naive interpretations. Dominant figures are not heroes or villains. They are operators. They preserve control by minimizing uncertainty. Your job, if you choose alignment, is not to be liked. It is to be legible. Legible men survive longer. If you remain opaque, emotionally volatile, ideologically loud, unpredictably principled, you are not mysterious. You are risky. Risk is excluded. Once you see these mechanics, you cannot unsee them. You will notice how power rewards silence over speech, anticipation over initiative, and usefulness over loyalty declarations. You will realize why outspoken men are kept at the edges, while quiet ones ascend unnoticed. This is not cynicism. It is anatomy. Power is a body. Alignment decides whether you are a vital organ, a protective layer, or waste to be expelled. Power does not see individuals. It sees categories. If you believe you are evaluated as a unique man with a unique story, you are already misaligned. Dominant figures simplify human complexity into functions. This is not cruelty. It is efficiency. There are 3 roles in every power structure. You occupy one right now, whether you know it or not. The chosen. These are not the most talented or the most loyal. They are the most structurally compatible. Chosen men reduce friction. They require minimal explanation, minimal reassurance, minimal supervision. They anticipate shifts before orders are given. They do not ask for credit publicly and therefore receive protection privately. Their proximity to power is close but controlled. They are never confused for friends. They are trusted because they are boringly reliable. Chosen men are not emotional assets. They are strategic extensions. Power invests in them because the return is predictable. They are insulated during collapses, protected during blame cycles, and quietly advanced when others are culled. The useful. This is the largest category. Useful men produce value but remain replaceable. They are skilled, energetic, sometimes charismatic, but noisy. Their output is visible, which makes them tempting to exploit. Power extracts heavily from them while keeping them at arm's length. They receive praise instead of protection, responsibility instead of authority. Useful men are fed hope. Hope keeps them productive and compliant. They believe the next sacrifice will earn promotion. It rarely does. They are rotated, not elevated. Then there are the disposable. These men misunderstand their position completely. They believe presence equals importance. They are included in meetings, copied on messages, praised publicly. But when pressure arrives, they are removed instantly. Their removal costs nothing. Sometimes their removal solves a problem. Disposable men are often morally vocal, emotionally reactive, or strategically confused. They bring volatility. Power tolerates them only when conditions are stable. The moment instability appears, they are offered as tribute. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Loyalty does not move you between these categories. Utility does. Silence does. Predictability does. Timing does not. Most men believe working harder moves them upward. It does not. It only deepens extraction. Movement requires role transformation, not effort escalation. Until you shift how power classifies you, nothing changes. Watch how dominant figures speak to each category. Chosen men receive fewer words. Useful men receive encouragement. Disposable men receive ideology. If you are constantly being reminded of values, culture, or the bigger picture, you are not chosen. You are being managed. This chapter exists to induce paranoia, not the emotional kind, but the strategic kind. You should be questioning your classification constantly. Comfort is a signal of stagnation. Praise is often a leash. Dominant figures never announce promotions in advance. They adjust access quietly. Invitations change. Information arrives earlier. Silence increases. These are signals of selection. Men who chase validation miss them. If you remain useful too long, you age out. Younger, cheaper versions replace you. If you remain disposable, you are already on borrowed time. Only the chosen survive transitions intact. Do not ask which category you want to be. That question is irrelevant. Power decides. Your task is to remove the traits that keep you misclassified, because in hierarchies, men are not betrayed. They are sorted. If this were theory, you could ignore it. But power does not argue, it repeats itself. Across empires, courts, corporations, and criminal syndicates, the same pattern appears with surgical consistency. Men do not fall because they are weak. They fall because they misjudge alignment. History is a graveyard of talented men who believe proximity without positioning was enough. Look at royal courts. Advisors who believed intimacy meant safety were the first executed when regimes shifted. The king did not kill enemies first. He killed ambiguities. Men whose loyalty was emotional, inconsistent, or divided were removed to stabilize the structure. Alignment was not declared, it was demonstrated under pressure. The same pattern exists in modern institutions. During restructurings, mergers, scandals, economic contractions, who survives? Not the loud, not the moral, not the hardest working. The survivors are those already embedded into the dominant figure's continuity plan. Their removal would create friction. That friction is avoided. Men often misinterpret survival as luck. It is not. It is pre-negotiated through alignment. Human nature does not change with technology. Only the costumes do. In every collapse, dominant figures contract inward. Resources tighten. Risk tolerance drops. At that moment, alignment becomes visible. Those outside the inner perimeter are cut loose, sometimes with ceremony, sometimes without explanation. And here is the deeper threat. Power does not warn you before reclassification. You will not be told you are slipping from useful to disposable. You will sense it only after access changes. By then, correction is nearly impossible. Power distrusts late adaptations. They look like panic. Men cling to the belief that fairness intervenes. History offers no evidence. Power preserves itself first, its structure second, its narrative third. Individuals come last, always. This chapter is meant to remove your hope in exceptions. You are not the anomaly. You are not the chosen one misunderstood. Those stories are told after survival, never before it. The men who lasted were not the most ethical. They were the most aligned at the moment of transition. Timing beats virtue. Position beats intent. When power shifts, it does not ask who deserves survival. It asks who is already useful in the new configuration. If you cannot immediately answer that question with your behavior, not your words, you are excess mass. History does not punish evil. It punishes misalignment, and it does so without apology. Most men here align with power and imagine obedience. That reflex exposes the deepest weakness, binary thinking. You were trained to believe the only alternatives are dominance or submission. Power operates in gradients, not extremes. Submission hands over agency. Strategic alignment deploys it. The first rule: never align emotionally. Emotional alignment creates dependency, and dependency invites extraction. Power drains what it knows you cannot walk away from. Your loyalty must be behavioral, not psychological. You execute without attachment. You assist without worship. You are not there to be trusted. Trust is irrelevant. You are there to be useful at the right depth. Too shallow, and you're ignored. Too deep, and you become a liability. The correct distance allows you to contribute while remaining replaceable enough to avoid resentment. Second rule: align with direction, not personality. Dominant figures change moods. Directions endure. Men who anchor themselves to charisma collapse when the atmosphere shifts. Men who align with trajectory remain intact. Ask yourself, where is power moving, not how it is currently behaving? Third rule: never compete with power's identity. Do not outshine publicly. Do not moralize privately. Do not innovate in ways that challenge narrative control. Power tolerates brilliance only when it appears subordinate. The moment your competence threatens authorship, you trigger correction. This does not mean shrinking. It means redirecting visibility. Make your value undeniable but non-confrontational. Let outcomes speak while you remain silent. Silence creates ambiguity. Ambiguity protects you. Fourth rule: build asymmetrical usefulness. If your value can be replicated quickly, you are expendable. If removing you creates delay, confusion, or dependency, you gain insulation. Do not hoard information that signals insecurity. Curate it. Become the quiet junction through which things flow. Fifth rule: never ask for protection. That marks you as fearful. Protection is earned indirectly by making your absence costly. Power does not shield men out of kindness. It shields systems that cannot afford disruption. This chapter's psychological function is to break your fear of selling out and replace it with strategic detachment. You are not betraying yourself. You are preserving optionality. The man who survives longest is the man who can reposition fastest. Alignment is temporary by design. You are not building a home. You are building cover. Once you forget that, you become trapped. Men who submit lose respect. Men who resist are crushed. Men who align strategically remain standing when others disappear. That is the balance. You do not kneel to power. You stand where it cannot ignore you. Alignment with power cannot coexist with the man you were taught to be. That man is loud in his conscience, proud of his intentions, desperate to be seen as good. He is optimized for moral comfort, not survival. He must be removed. This is not metaphorical. Identity is behavior repeated until it becomes automatic. To align effectively, certain behaviors must die. Not suppressed. Not negotiated. Eliminated. The first to go is the approval reflex. The need to be understood, validated, or praised exposes you. Power watches for it because it predicts compliance under emotional leverage. A man who needs approval will trade position for reassurance. He is cheap. Next is moral exhibitionism. Declaring values feels strong. It is not. It signals rigidity. Rigid men break under shifting incentives. Power requires flexibility without public justification. The moment you explain your ethics, you invite someone to test them. Then kill narrative attachment. The story you tell yourself about who you are, hard worker, honest man, lone wolf, is a liability. Power does not negotiate with self-concepts. It overwrites them. If you cling to identity, you resist adaptation. Resistance draws attention. The replacement identity is quieter, colder, and more surgical. You become observant, not expressive. You speak when it alters outcomes, not when it relieves tension. Silence becomes a weapon. Most men cannot wield it. That alone differentiates you. You become responsive, not reactive. Emotion is delayed, processed privately, and expressed only if strategically useful. Outbursts, even justified ones, mark you as unstable. Stability attracts protection. You become position-aware. Every interaction is evaluated for leverage, cost, and future optionality. This does not make you paranoid. It makes you hard to corner. This chapter's function is identity demolition. Without it, everything before collapses. You cannot play power games with a moral ego. You cannot navigate hierarchies while insisting on internal purity. That insistence is how men get used and discarded while believing they were right. This is where most viewers stop. Not because they disagree, but because they recognize the cost. The old self dies quietly. No applause. No recognition. Just a reduction in friction and an increase in survival odds. Power does not need your soul. It only needs your discipline. If you cannot kill who you were, you will never control where you stand. This is where the line is drawn. Everything before this point was instruction. This chapter is filtration. Power does not wait for understanding. It moves forward regardless of who is ready. Men who hesitate, debate, or delay adaptation are not punished out of cruelty. They are ignored until removal becomes convenient. There is no middle state left. The era of drifting through hierarchies on effort, morality, or charisma is over. Systems are tighter. Selection is faster. Replacement is cheaper. If you are not actively positioning, you are being positioned against. The unselected always share the same final belief: I still have time. That belief has ended more men than open conflict. Power accelerates without notice. By the time consequences are visible, the slots are already filled. Do not mistake silence for safety.